Hi, I'm Stephen Sashin from XeroShoes.com, Xero Shoes.com. That's our zero. And my apologies before we even get started. I completely forgot that I was going to have this awesome conversation with John and Mel today. If I had remembered, I would have done something to all of this. So the good news is I'm going to put the camera on them or on some great photos most of the time, so you don't have to see this. So first, let me start and say hi to you guys. John, Mel, hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I'm going to let you just jump in and start and tell people why we're having this conversation, and then at some point we'll do a screen share and you can just kind of narrate from there. But hop in and tell everyone what we're up to.
I think.
Basically, we wanted to share a little bit of our experience when we raced last month. It would have been at the start of September. We went to Madagascar and we raced a 7-day stage race there, and it was really cool. The experience was absolutely phenomenal. So
I'm just going to pause on. So you flew around the world to run a race.
It was such a long flight. It was coming from Edmonton, going through Calgary, Calgary to Europe, Europe to Nairobi, Nairobi to Madagascar. Then you had like a delayed flight because Air Madagascar is never on time. So trying to get up north in Madagascar was a pain. So we got pretty cozy with the airport floor there for a bit.
Yeah, you know, Air Madagascar, the peanuts on that airline, they're horrible. Well, I mean, I'm thrilled that you're willing to share this with us. There's not many people who run a stage race to begin with, let alone an ultra at all, let alone fly around the planet to do it. So it's a real treat to have you sharing that with us. Is there anything that you guys want to say before I just jump over to the photos that you sent and then you can narrate?
Definitely. We're actually the first people to complete a Race on the Planet series race in sandals. And we did that in our Xero Shoes. Not one time did we have to change. We had to have a pair of shoes in our backpack because they didn't think we could do it. And especially when we were getting on the start line. I mean, we looked like a bunch of 12-year-olds. So I think at first we were like, okay, I don't even know if they'll make it through the race. And they looked down at our feet and they're like, you're wearing flip-flops. And we're like, well, Xero Shoes, okay, kind of. And then they're like, are you going to race the whole thing in that? And then we said yes. And then at that point, we kind of lost a few friends. But come day 5, and we were still kicking and not a single blister. I think we made a whole lot of kind of new friends.
Yeah, everyone wanted to know how we were doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cut to the end of the story in a way. You at one point let me know that at the end of some of the stages there was people just lining the medical tents, and you're like, I don't know what the problem is.
Totally. I mean, the medical doctors were flabbergasted. They said, yeah, pretty much, you guys, like, they looked at our feet and then kept asking us, like, so the whole entire stage, you didn't once change into your shoes? And we said, no, but it was a saving grace for us because the rivers, our feet dried so quick after. We were running through a bunch of sand trails that never got stuck in our shoes. So, like, some people's feet were just torn to shreds, and ours were looking pretty. I mean, my nail polish stayed on the whole time.
And John, how did your nail polish hold up?
You know, it came off, but no.
Well, before we launch into the photos, I do want to do one thing and take a mild detour and talk about one other thing really quickly, and that is in the time that we've known you and that you have been running and racing in Xero Shoes, which has been tremendously fun, something major has changed for you guys. Would you care to share something about that?
I don't know if you can see it.
There we go. Yeah, it's pretty blingy. Wait, hold on. I'll stop talking so the camera goes back to you. Wait, there we go.
Is it glaring?
And wait, do that again and hold your thumb up so we can see that you actually had 5 fingers. It looked like you had one amputated. So yeah, there we go. So congratulations. Is there a date?
Probably next December, we're thinking.
Awesome. Yeah, because that's when the weather is really great in Edmonton.
Well, it'll be in Chile.
Okay. Oh, wow.
We won't have a reason for it being here in Edmonton.
Perfect. All right, well, I'm going to do a quick screen share and head over to some slides, assuming I can figure out how to do this. Wait, I got to make a couple of changes over here. That goes this way. I think, yeah, trying to make that go full screen. Close enough. And now I click this button over here. Come on. Um, I know there's a way to do this. There we go. Now I click that, and it's going to tell me which screen I want, which is that one. And then I click share, and Google Hangouts is now sharing our screen. So it says, perfect. So can you see the photo that we're seeing?
Yeah,
yes, we can. Do you want to go for this?
So
I'm kind of a funny one. This is a great photo just to show, like, this is the wild stuff you see in Madagascar. We went for a quick jog probably 2 days before the race actually started. We just kind of wanted to loosen up our legs from 30 hours of flying, and we were following this guy for a couple blocks, and it was literally just a plastic children's lawn chair somehow strapped on the back of a bicycle, and that's just a great example of like what the next 3 weeks were. It was just things that we were like, well, you don't see that every day.
Unless you're in Madagascar, when you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the norm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's see if, there we go.
So this is the cleanest you will see our faces in all these pictures probably. This is on our way to gear check-in. They have a pretty regimental kind of schedule for it and the amount of required gear. For the stage race, you're pretty much carrying everything on your back, all your food, all your required gear, all your clothing, any sleeping things for the whole 7 days. They give you water and then like communal tents, but everything else is right on your back. So that's heading into our gear check-in.
So it occurs to me to ask something for people who don't know. I mean, there are a lot of people who run a 5K or a 10K, some people who do a half marathon or a marathon, some people who run ultras, but the idea of a stage race, that's new for a lot of people. Do you want to say more about what that is?
Sure. A stage race is just basically a multi-day event. So every day there's a set course. So they range, in this race they range, I think the shortest one we did was about 38 kilometers, and then you actually have a long day where it's just over 80 kilometers, I think it was, somewhere around there. So it's kind of like just you got to be able to finish the stage for that day and then prepare for the next day and get your food in you and get ready to go.
And you just camp overnight at the base camp where you finish, and the next morning everyone gets up together, hobbles to the start line, and then goes again for the next day.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you for that. Now I'm going to switch back here, and I can't tell which way I'm going when I click up or down. So, so we're gonna be doing this way out of order, and we may get a little redundant at some point. So there's that, and there's. Let's go to this. Go up one more. There's a lovely shot of Melissa.
Yeah. So that was. I don't remember which day. Maybe by how dirty my legs are. Maybe around like day 3 or 4. And yeah, it just it doesn't really do it justice, but it was hot out. It was probably around 38 to 40, sometimes even breaking above 40 every day.
You're able to, that's centigrade, so that's like crazy hot. That's plus over 100.
Yeah, it was really hot. It was exposed to Madagascar. Is extremely flat. Not much jungle in the part we were running. We were running on the northern part of Madagascar. So it was definitely a challenge at parts, but we kept the fluids going in, and we were fine. No bonking.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. I love this shot.
Yeah. This is one of the many little streams that we crossed. There was tons of water crossings, and most of the time, like, they'd give you kind of course notes on, like, in the mornings they'd go through it. They'd be like, okay, so today you're in kind of like some beach trail for 5K, and then you have like sandy track for 10K, and then there's a river crossing. And most days they tell you it's like 1 or 2 river crossings. I think there was one day with like 6 or 7. It was just like, oh my goodness. But for us, we didn't really mind. But people with shoes were like, oh no, my feet. So yeah, it was pretty humorous, because by the end people were like, I think on the last day was very funny, because someone asked like, oh, how many river crossings? And the course director was like, oh, none today. Immediately he just goes, how many river crossings? Seriously. So many. But it was beautiful.
And then this is before the race, tying up our zeros. We've had a lot of people ask us too, like, what way we tie them, especially for racing and everything like that. We just do kind of the traditional loop hold way. You have it on the Xero Shoes website on how to tie that. We did a little video of it too, if anyone's ever interested. But we've kind of, that worked for us, and we stick with it. So I think that's just what we'll continue doing. We always are up for experimenting though, but so far that one's been the best one for us so far.
That looks like a pair of 6mm contacts, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we wore 6 mil because we found that with a lot of the ultras that we did, when it got really, really terrainy, especially on this race, we actually went over. There's a lot of volcanic rock right along the beat, and the course directors were like they came up and blatantly told us like you should be putting shoes on for this section. But we were happy we went with the 6 mils because we were able just to glide on over it. I mean, whether you have shoes or sandals on, you got to be careful with your feet, but the actual feeling through the footwear, it never hurt us or anything, and we were able to run across it no problem.
Yeah, that's great. This is also an incredible shot. I totally
Bart.
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to say about this shot either. It's
Just rugged.
Jonathan's muscles that are all dusty.
I don't know why we suddenly got smaller images. Let me see if there's anything I can figure out about that.
From another source. So these weren't from our camera. This is from a photographer that was at the event, Zandy Munger. So these ones are probably, we don't have too many of them, luckily, but that one that you have up right now is just the gear check-in, which again was, they give you this passport, and you go from station to station, and you have like 20 pages in your passport. By the end, every page has been written in or stamped, so you're getting checked on everything that you have on your back. They really want to make sure that you have all the required gear, and then that you'll be safe out there. Like, yeah, you have a minimum requirement of calories you need to carry too.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what's the minimum calorie amount?
It's 2,000 calories a day. We average probably about 23 to 2,600. Some people, and we would have learned actually, most people, or some of like the top competitors, they were pushing over 3,000 a day. So, but it's a big kind of pro-con because the more calories you bring, the more weight you're carrying.
Right.
But at the time you don't want to be hungry. Like Melissa forgot to pack food for the rest day on day 6. So
I chinched out of it, and I had to go to an all-time low and see if I could find some trail mix in like the lost and found bag to save me. So I'm like digging through this duffel bag. I'm like, is there like any food that I can have? I'm so hungry. I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
that's my fiance.
Let's click over here. Let's see. And again, another great difference in footwear shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
one of the guys who went from California, Howard. Is that Howard? Yeah. And again, he was just another competitor that was really amazed. And people were so supportive of us throughout the whole thing, running in the sandals. I mean, at first, yeah, you did get the crazy looks, and people thought you were nuts. But come day 3 and 4, and especially looking at the shape of our feet, people were pretty impressed, which is really cool to see. And then they start asking more questions about Xero Shoes and how we got into it and what's the barefoot running like. And even after the race, some people were like, can I write them down? And it was just cool to see that kind of transition in people. Yeah. We were happy that we could kind of like help them see that.
And that's really the thing with barefoot and minimalist running. What amazes me is when people say things like, "Well, that's just not possible." It's like as you run right by them, and while there was obviously the big boom in interest early on, I think what's really going to propel things in the long term is all of the people, including people like you, who are out there actually using these and showing that you can run happily, healthily, probably with not probably, almost always better than many people who are in shoes, or not necessarily running better, but your feet could end up way better at the end of a race than if you're in a pair of shoes. So let's get a quick gander over here. I love this shot too. I like all these shots. These are great.
Yeah, this is a really cool shot, and this is again from the race photographer. It was right before we crossed the finish line, so hence the smiles on our faces. Victory's finally there, but. Yeah, it was just amazing to have the Malagasy women in the background cheering us in, and one of our favorites.
All right, I'm going to see if I can switch back to full screen when I start showing these, because I think now I can start actually hitting the down arrow and just going down, because I think we've made it to the end. So this is, I'm assuming, is pre-race and just everyone checking in.
Pre-race, gear check-in. Just
how many people ran it?
There's 250 competitors.
Wow.
So there's.
And how many finished?
40 dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, outrageous.
And honestly, a lot of times they said it was because of blisters too, which was such a huge bummer for a lot of people, but you can't,
Yeah.
once you get your feet so torn up, you need to use those to run. So,
Yeah.
and then this was the very first start line. So they drove us from Diego Suarez, which is the city in northern Madagascar, where you had the gear check and all that. Drove us out on some vans, and we went to a army base camp, kind of one that's been not very kept up and maintained, and we camped out there for the night, and then the next morning we started. So it was really neat. They had a bunch of Malagasy locals come out and do some dancing for us and singing and all that, keep our spirits high before we knew what we were getting into. So it was really fun.
That's great.
This group of runners there, without any of the packs at all, it was a group of high school, I believe, Malagasy. It was like a track team kind of thing, or a cross-country team, and they were invited to come along and race the first day with us. A lot of them were kind of scared away from running the full 42K or so, whatever the first day was, so they just ran the first 10K, but it was fun. Like, they were all so high-spirited, and yeah, just smiles the whole way. So
And one of them was barefoot.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
Completely barefoot.
That's great. So backing up a half a step, just for the fun of saying it, the total distance over the entire stage race was how far?
We're up to 252 kilometers, I believe.
252K over 7 days.
Yeah.
I love it. Speaking as a sprinter, where over 100 meters, I start getting a little twitchy. I just love that.
And then this is Jonathan in the village.
Yeah, just shooting through one of the villages on the first day that was. Everyone was so cheery and everything, waving to us, saying hi, and yeah, it was amazing.
And then this was by far one of my favorite highlights of the race, if not the best one. We were coming up on a stage, and we were about maybe halfway through, and it was getting hot, and we just climbed up this muddy hill that we were crossing in a river down below before, so kind of mentally we were a bit drained. And then all of a sudden, down this one path, we see one of the medical doctors as part of the racing team come along. And behind him, he had about 8 kids, maybe 10, that were just following him. And then as soon as they saw us, they ran up to us right away and then kind of just were our cheer team. And then they turned around and just kept running with us. And the best thing was each one had a smile on their face. They were running either barefoot or in sandals, so it was nice. We had a little company. Finally, we didn't feel so strange, and they were just so sweet. We couldn't understand anything they were really saying. They have Malagasy as a language there, and then they also have French, but our French is very poor, even though living in Canada. And so, but it was like running was this like universal language. All of a sudden, we had this instant connection with these kids, and we just both parties knew. So it was really, really neat experience.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. Oh, and you hear more of the kids, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got them all to stop, and yeah, they were just smiles the whole way. It was amazing. It was uplifting. It really was. And then that was the coolest, actually. I think this is on later in the same stage, but we know we're close. We've just finished one of the last river crossings, and we're like, okay, we have like a kilometer left. And we're running through a village, and you see all the small huts and everything, but nobody's around. And we're like, well, this is really odd. Usually it's like populated. We're like, where is everyone? So we keep running, and then we hear this big group in the background there, and they're just singing and cheering everyone in, and we were just like it was purely like bliss. You're just like, this is amazing. My body doesn't hurt anymore. It was so amazing to see.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, there's somebody without shoes.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you guys are like, oh, you ran the first race in sandals. He's like, but then this guy ran it barefoot. But actually, this is just like camp, and that's Ryan Sands. He's from South Africa, and he actually ran it in shoes. He just was giving his feet a breather, and he was the first place guy in the race.
Oh, wow.
So really, really nice guy, extreme athlete, phenomenal.
Very
And then
cool.
This is cool. Melissa was actually the youngest competitor competing in the race. She was 22 years old, and this is actually the oldest competitor, 69 years old, and finished it.
Wow, I love it.
First stage race. He loves doing them, so yeah, it was amazing to see.
and he looked better by me at the finish.
Let's see if we get a down arrow here. Oop, come on. Do we have any more? Wait, let's see. Let me escape out of there and see if we got more, if we got a problem here. Come on. Oh, that's actually the last shot. Sweet. Well, let me turn off the screen sharing. People don't need to see all of our stuff in the background. Perfect, perfect. Oh, yeah, there's me again. Let's get rid of me as quickly as possible. So, I mean, I'd say this is a once in a lifetime event, but clearly you guys have a lot of plans to keep doing this kind of racing and having these kinds of experiences, which is just tremendous, and it's wonderful, and we really appreciate that you get to share it with those of us who, for various reasons, are not going to be doing that. Anything else that you want to seeing all of this brings back that you want to share with everyone?
I'd say just it was one of those ones. It was a big leap of faith for us. Signing up for it was just like a click of a mouse. It was like, okay, let's do it. And then traveling around the world to like one of the most remote places you could pretty much find in the globe without going to like one of the poles. So I mean, we were just every day on the trip and the race. It was just we had no idea what to expect. But that's part of just kind of what made it amazing, and just kind of taking the leap of faith and not knowing what you're to expect. So we encourage so many people to do that. Just step out of their comfort zone, and you might meet some amazing people, because there was sure some fascinating people on that race with us. So.
Well, since you guys are getting married, I feel obligated to say, Melissa, would you like to get the last word, because that's the way it's going to be happening from now on.
I agree with Jonathan. Once in a lifetime experience. Huge lesson from it is just, go with your gut. There's so many expectations or limitations that not only you put on yourself, but others you might feel pressured about. And just go with what you feel, though, right? If you are extremely passionate about something and you know it's right, us running in Xero Shoes hadn't been done before. And we're like, I don't know, like, can we? And just stick with it. You have that feeling in your gut and trust it. Absolutely, absolutely trust it. And what's the worst that can happen? You stub your toe.
Well, thank you again. I'm really looking forward to what you guys do next. And for those of you who are watching, if you want to find out more about John and Melissa, actually, why don't you tell people where they can track you, follow you, and find out more about you?
Absolutely.
Best place is start with our website. It's ultramarathon.com. Exactly as it sounds, and we can even we're always linked onto the Xero Shoes website or on the Facebook page and everything like that. So yeah, ultramarathon.com, and we have links to our Facebook page, our Twitter, all that kind of stuff. We have an email. You can just shoot us an email if you have any questions at all, and yeah, we'd love to chat about whatever.
Yeah, and for those of you who are thinking about it, I highly recommend that you get in touch with Mel and John. They're doing just amazing things when it comes to just training and nutrition, and there's a lot you can learn from them. And watching what they're doing, we didn't get into the whole story of how they got to be ultra runners, but it's not what you would expect of like work, build up really slowly. I mean, they just jumped in with both feet, and it's been really splendid to watch what you guys have been doing and how you've been growing as runners and as people, and it's just a pleasure for many reasons that we're a part of that. So I want to thank you, and for everyone else, thank you for joining us. If you want to find out more about Xero Shoes, we're at xeroshoes.com. And as always, the only thing I can say is feel the freedom, feel the fun, and feel the world. Take care.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye.